Hey guys, how's it going? It's October 10th, 2022, Monday. Uh, Holiday here in Canada. Statutory holiday, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day for the Canadian side. I also get the U.S. side off coming up pretty soon. So a little less distraction because you got that extra day to think about things and don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about following the Toronto Blue Jays anymore because they got eliminated the day before yesterday, I guess it was. Game three would have been yesterday, uh, where they could have lost again. Whatever. They could have won too. Then I'd be distracted further in the month. And following, and distractions are fun, believe me. They're a lot of fun. The big distraction that I have right now is Medieval Dynasty. What's cool though is when you have too much time on your hands and you have too much of a thing, suddenly your mind begins to wander a little bit. It's just like, okay, I don't know if I just want to be playing Medieval Dynasty this weekend. Do I want to get out for a walk, which I really haven't done? I might do that today. Or do I want to get out and do things? Free my mind? Do I want to do a live stream like I did yesterday and get some of the things that's on my mind out of my system? Do I want to be distracted with, certain moderators or people or trolls or whatever? Or do I want to focus on what I can do to grow the community? Do I want to focus on something that I can add so that more people who are looking for something, who are just looking for something that may not be there, can latch onto and say, yeah, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this movement. Because there's a lot of distractions out there. There's a lot of good software out there. Honestly, Railroader's coming up, and I'll tell you, I was really excited about it, but it's kind of the buzz kind of lacked off for me because, it really isn't in the presence of mind. So when you're not doing anything, like Railroads Online was very huge to me at one time. I thought it was revolutionary. I said it. I remember saying it. My memory's not the greatest, but I remember saying Railroads Online, that's revolutionary. Railroads Online, I wouldn't even give it a thought right now, for the most part. I loaded it up a few weeks ago, but other than that, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe it'll get my attention again someday. Maybe it'll do something even more amazing. But it's on the back. It is way on the back burner. It's nowhere near a distraction. Run 8, they got to bring it. They still got to bring it. They can't rest on their laurels. They're a great simulator, and for many, they're gonna continue to distract. And distraction's good because these hobbies are distractions. I love this no data crap. What is that no data crap? I don't know. One of these days I gotta play this back and see what that no data means. Of course I got a shitty internet connection, but hey. And it's early morning and all of my regular people are sleeping, and they were probably sleeping while I was still thinking of this last night. I decided to get my ass off the chair at 2:30 this morning. What was I doing last night? I stumbled onto something. Because I was thinking. I was thinking of what can I do? What can I do? So what happened was just a brief synopsis of my Sunday. Usually it's you try to cram everything in, and get back to work the next day. Normally on a Sunday night I like to wind down a little bit, and I knew I had today off. So I could just stay up later and play Medieval Dynasty some more and really burn myself out of that if I wanted to, although I'm not burnt out by any means. I'll actually get into this later this morning. But I wanted to get this out of my system for now. I'm not acting any further on this probably at the moment. I want to let it build. I want to let it build up, because some things, absence grows the heart fonder, and there's other things that they just all of a sudden just like, hey, well, doesn't mean anything now. What am I going to do? Last night I was trying to find something else to do to distract me, and instead I found something to do to empower me. Those are the cool things. Those are the days where you're like, hey, I just learned something. And I learned this is possible. And a lot of it I don't understand. There's a lot I still need to learn. I was trying to follow a YouTube video. That's where I started falling asleep, because it was late at night and YouTube videos put me to sleep, especially if it's, a little bit more complicated to get it. But let me just start talking about this. The opposite of distraction is focus. I was going to say, riddle me this, Batman, be cute. What's the opposite? Yeah, okay. I would say the opposite of distraction is focus. Well, despite being tired last night, I was focused. I was focused as much as I possibly could, and gave every bit of my focus into something. And it felt good. It's been a long, long time since I've been focused on something. I wasn't distracted by Medieval Dynasty. I wasn't distracted about having to go to bed because of work the next day. I wasn't distracted about the Toronto Blue Jays. I was focused. And I did a video, the last one that I did, where I went through everything. You could tell the focus, you could tell I was trying to lay it all out there and say, okay, because I really didn't know which way I wanted to go. Obviously, I have these pipe dreams of having these awesome simulators that's going to blow Train Sim World out of the water and take advantage of all that. Of course, get real. You haven't even created anything beyond the RTS beta. Was your claim to fame, and that thing now is, that software is probably, it was started developing 10 years ago with Run 8, and what did it do? It kind of sat there, and it really was limited into what it could do. Eventually, Run 8 version 2 made it obsolete, and I never really went back to RTS software again. I thought about it. There was different things, different little concepts I had, like really minor things to go with other programs. This could be the start of RTS2, which has no reliance on any particular software except a Creative Commons software that is very well known, that has an amazing amount of data, literally has the entire rail networks laid out. And it's been there, and I've used it before. This is the crazy thing, is I've used this before, and I didn't really realize how powerful it was until I took a look at it again last night. Because I was actually looking at ways of using maps and different things to be a background for software, because I was going to go the 2D route. I thought, let me explore the 2D route. Let me explore what would Freight Yard Manager be like if it had all those things that I suggested that drove me away from Freight Yard Manager. What drove me away from Freight Yard Manager was you had to be big to use it. So the reason why I'm going the 2D route, which I think is feasible, is number one, I don't have any people waving their hands and saying, "Hey, Sean, let me help you. I can do this. Let's just let's go ahead and do this." Now, Scott, to be fair, he has offered to do certain things as far as graphics, but he says his stuff is limited and all that stuff, which is understandable. He's still learning, but how much more is he going to want to do that? He's not really into the computers as it is, but it is something where he escapes from it. So I don't know if that's enough for me to go on. I was kind of saying, hey, I need a programmer. There was nobody raising their hands up and saying, hey, Sean, I can program for you. Okay, cool, let's do it. Because if I have the programmer and I have the graphic artist, well, suddenly I got a project. Then it becomes all about my vision. It becomes not just my vision, but our vision. Because it isn't just going to be me anymore. I'm bringing 2 people as a core group, very similar to what Run 8 has. They have like a core group of 3. Bring their talents together. One manages, one has the concept, the ideas, the way he wants things to go. The other, and actually John was fairly new at programming when he got into Run 8 as well. So that's quite an accomplishment on his part. And oh jeez, I can't think of the artist's name. Nigel. So he's the other owner of Run 8, and he's the artist. So, or he was the main one. I think there's more now, but anyways, that's Run 8. That's 3D. I ain't going that way. Why am I going 2D? Because I don't have the programmer, I don't have the artist. So it's just me. It's just me. I'm here. I'm here. I want to build. No, do I want to program now? Not really. But if I'm going to program, I want to make it as potentially easy as it's potentially as easy and painless as possible. So let me show you what I got, or what I'm looking at. Okay, so that's my channel analytics. I don't need to look at that. So yeah, I'm at 810 subscribers. I want to build that up to 1,000. There's a lot of ways I can do that. So before I go into showing you the goods here, a lot of ways I can do that. I can build it up to 1,000 by doing what other people want to see, such as Run 8, which I don't want to do. When it's something that I don't want to do right now, I lose my enthusiasm. I lose my ability to bring in people because I'm not committed. You see that in people who, they just play whatever freaking video and they play, they get these key codes and they just play it and play it. It's just like there's some people you just notice they're not really into it and they're kind of mocking it. Nah, I don't want to do that. Do I think I'm going to be back in Run 8 again? Possibly. I hope so. I hope Run 8 brings it. I hope Run 8 has that small region that's going to capture my attention. And yeah, it's going to be a distraction, but it's a hell of a lot. It's a lot less painful than me having to go through and build an entire system from the ground up. Good news is this isn't as difficult as the 3D. Which also means is if I can get the ball rolling, then things are going to get good. This is what I'm talking about, and it was in the thing. So this is OpenStreetMaps. For those of you not familiar with it, it is a open source. Basically, the only restrictions on it is open source. Whatever the hell, Creative Commons. So the only restrictions, number one, commercial can use it, except they can't modify the data. They also have to attribute. They can certainly donate, which I would. I haven't done it yet, but we'll see how far this goes because number one, I may do this commercially, I may do this for free. Since Freight Yard Manager's for free, we'll see. We'll see what this brings to the table, and how big it gets. Obviously, Freight Yard Manager is huge. This one, though, is going to be at a level where you're actually in a one-to-one world as opposed to being in separate yards and stuff like that. So this is a Google map image of Port Robinson Yard. We have the 2 tracks here. We have 8 tracks here. Another track that's going here, which is the junction that leads to the chemical lead. Well, I can find that. And hopefully I can do this without crashing my bandwidth, but I'm going to try. So here in Port Robinson, what do we have? We have 8 tracks, 2 tracks here, and the line that goes to the chemical lead. So there we go. That's it. Does it have that little line, that road that crosses? No. I could add that. I can actually contribute to OpenStreetMaps. Log in, become a member, and actually contribute different things like access roads and stuff like that, if I want to. Maybe the access roads are important for the simulation. Maybe that's how I'm gonna do it. But we'll see. The main thing that's important for a simulation is the tracks. Oh, gee. Go figure. So, the tracks are important. Hey, Christopher. Well, that's cool. You know, and I look at this and I think to myself at first, I think, oh, okay, well, that's cool. It's a nice looking map and everything, and I can use it as a background, and then I can draw all these lines in, right? That's how they do it in Freight Yard Manager. They draw lines in over Google. It takes a long time to build some of these maps up, right? Well, this is something I'm familiar with. XML. Why am I familiar with this? Runit uses it. I know how XML works. I know how to parse XML. Okay, so you got a bunch of numbers and all kinds of stuff. What is this, all this data? You might be saying. This is every single piece of information that is on this map that volunteers have gone through. Open source and is added. Everything. Every street, every building, every hydro line, every curve in a river, you name it, it's all here. Look at this data. Okay, so I want to see, can I see Port Robinson? I don't know. Does it have Port Robinson? Let's find out. It doesn't. So it doesn't have the name or tag Port Robinson. That's okay. What about railway? Does it have railway? Okay, so I do railway, right? I've done all this, right? Well, the first one that shows up is a level crossing. And then if I keep going, and if I keep going, there's level crossings, level crossings, level crossings. That's a good start. Ooh, what did I see? Switch. I saw a switch. What the hell's that? That's a switch. It's located at longitude whatever, blah, 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 right? Well, it don't matter where the hell it is, because there's crossings, there's level crossings, there's another switch, level crossing, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the hell that was. There is the Ontario Grimsby Via Rail Station. So they call that Grimsby. They don't have Port Robinson for some reason, but whatever. So they got Grimsby, which is just west of me. They got Canadian National Railways. They've got stuff that's abandoned, stuff that is still operational, and on and on and on and on, and I'm still going, and, you know. Railway, 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 railway. Railway miniature, I don't know what the hell that is. Railway. The portion, okay. What's this last one? Description. The portion between the railway tunnel and 40 Mile Creek Park is poorly laid out. Okay, whatever. I don't know what that means. Lower Falls. Well, the good thing is I can go into that and I can compare it to the real world data and see how close it is. And I already did it with Port Robinson Yard. I've actually done it with others too. So all that data, well, what does that mean? It means, unlike Freight Yard Manager, I don't have to even plot the lines. In fact, I have not only those lines, but I have a cool looking thing. What does all that data actually have? I put a square and be able to encompass all of Niagara, and I downloaded a data that squares just past, I think, right at the bridge. That is literally a square up to and including right around the Grimsby area, all the way to this track here, which is laid out nicely because it has every crossover track, every little engine pocket, whatever the hell those things are, feeder canal road, every little joint in this, well, not joint, but every one of these is a point joined in. You got your little swamplands. I'm very familiar with this yard. I'm very familiar with the feeder canal here and the swamplands and everything else. That is the Dunnville sub. It's a very long track that comes out of CP Welland Yard to the city, to I guess it's the city, town of Dunnville, whatever. The Port Maitland spur, I think they call it, because it goes to Port Maitland. There's a line that used to be here. It's not here anymore. I don't know if that line still exists as an abandoned. It doesn't show up as visible. Who knows? I don't care. Maybe it's there. That's a CP rail. Hamilton sub. It's got every single thing in there. I'm pretty sure it has everything. Now let me double check. Yep. There's the siding. Has the street address numbers. The rural stuff may not be as detailed as the urban stuff. Well, guess what? That's a bonus, because everybody likes urban scenery. So when you get into the cities, then you get every single house. You get Niagara Falls. You get, look at this. You get every single little how the shape of the falls is, where the little towers are. Fallsview Casino Resort, blah blah blah. All this data. Stanford sub going through Niagara Falls. Lubrizol lead. The abandoned. Okay, these are the abandoned lines right here. This little dot thing here. So, there used to be a line right here too, but that's okay. I only want what's currently there now. The Y there. And then, of course, you have the line that goes into Niagara Falls, New York, which also has this big-ass yard here. Every single line. Now, I don't plan on doing Niagara Falls, New York anytime soon, because I want to focus on Canada. But the big yard I would be starting with is, of course, Port Robinson. That's the biggest yard in Niagara. This one is a monster, because you're dealing with Niagara Falls, New York. You got all the hydro lines. You got all the chemical plants down here. Everything. So all it takes is somebody who's... It really doesn't even take somebody. Basically what it takes for the network to evolve is familiarity by people and contributors. Number one, the lines are already there. So when you look at Freight Yard Manager, you have, like, you zoom in, right? And you can see the trains that are running through your yards. Well, now you're following an actual train in this type of environment. Does it look like you're running on a map? Sure it does. Does it look like, it's not as pretty as this? Sure, okay. Do I care? Not really. Because I'm more interested in the operation. So now I have the backbone. I have every single track potentially in North America. I don't know if they're all there, but I'm sure as hell very interested in finding out. The best part about it is, as we explore this, and I get more people who are familiar with the area, it starts in Niagara. It expands to North America. What does Microsoft Train Simulator have going for it? What does Freight Yard Manager have going for it? Well, Freight Yard Manager, you have to create those maps. We're not going to create those maps. We're going to have people who know about the areas, who are experts on the areas, who can tell me what trains are doing what locals are. Maybe experts who work, who like railroads, who work with certain plants, and can tell you where certain loads are going, certain empties are, what times the trains run, all kinds of things. The list just goes on and on. That's a network, folks. That's what the power of networking is. And I mean, Freight Yard Manager is great for what it does. It's good, but again, some of the weaknesses for Freight Yard Manager to me is, and the ironic thing was, I was asked, not Freight Yard Manager, I think it was Yard Duty. I think somebody asked me if I wanted to develop for Yard Duty, and I wasn't interested at the time. I said, I thanked them, but I said I wasn't interested. But they thought I would be really interested in it. And because they like some of the ideas I had way back when. I remember I had these talks with the developer, and I said, you could really have a lot of fun with AI, or you could really have a lot of fun if you were able to tie into a program like Microsoft Train Simulator. This is before Run 8. So I would actually feed into the idea of somehow, and this was even before open rails, but I saw that you could get train dispatchers in TD3, you could get people who were into open rails, or open rails later on, and somehow you've got that whole data set that's available to you. So they could run the trains, whatever trains they like, in the 3D world or 2D world or whatever. The whole idea of this is, now I have the two concepts that I want to work on. And what is that? Well, we have AI dispatching. Run 8 version 3 brought that. That's a cool concept. I like how it does it. I would do it a little differently. My approach is probably a little different. I don't know what their methodology is, but it's pretty damn good. It may be better than my methodology. I haven't tested my methodology. So yeah, maybe I'm reinventing the wheel, but I'm not trying to steal from Run 8 either. I'm going to have my own ideas. I'm also going to have ideas that I take from what Freight Yard Manager is good at. And I look at those things, I bring it all together, and I say to myself, okay, I can do this. Now some people, they just can't get away from the 3D graphics. Freight Yard Manager is a huge network because it's pretty much the only game in town. I don't even know if Yard Duty does things anymore. Yard Duty used to be an actual payware, and then Freight Yard Manager came along. Yard Duty used to be a payware, but it was built on a server. It's the same thing as Freight Yard Manager, basically, but Freight Yard Manager took it to a free level. Now, it's either early right now or nobody cares about this stuff, or maybe they're thinking I'm pipe dreaming again, but this ain't no pipe dream, dude. And dudesses. When you have all that data there, suddenly you have your world. I was looking at a YouTube video last night. Now this was for Unity in 3D, which really doesn't matter to me because I would put it in 2D. I don't need to put it in 3D. And it was all about, I think the idea was to put it in 3D so you had a canvas to work on. But you can have it so that that's all basically in there. And from there you just you just go to town. It's all in there, and you can just go to town, and you have all the coordinates. So if I'm having a train that's coming around this curve, well, guess what? I know I have the spline because Open Data has the spline. All I got to do is take that spline, convert it into whatever. Either I keep the coordinates as they are, which I probably wouldn't. Now the reason why is, let's take something for Unity. For example, Unity, similar, I guess, to Unreal or whatever. I don't even know if I would use Unity, to be quite honest. I would explore various ways of programming. I might try in Basic just to see what I can do with drawing. I don't know about Liberty Basic. There's other languages out there, and I might just try doing it myself into something that isn't necessarily a game engine, and something that I can just build from code and understand it from the ground up, because I'm not fond of C. I'm not fluent in C. There's an old abandoned line right here too. I think it's Hydro, but it's also an abandoned. No, I guess that's just Hydro, but the old NST line used to come through here. See how that line continues? And you just keep on going. You got the tree line here, and it used to cross right there, and then it would go into this here. So it would come up the street and come down here, and then boom, it would cross. There'd be a swing bridge here, and away you go to town. So but it's amazing how you could easily recreate that era and put a line in there that's what used to be an old abandoned line or whatever, and go to town with it. But I think that's really cool. You can create your own maps in OpenStreetMap too if you want. If you want to do a historical map, go to town. You can create layers. You can do all kinds of things. So if I go to different layers, and then I better not do that because it's gonna forget it. Transportation map. Now it's gonna kill my bandwidth. I can tell right now. That's what happens when you have crappy internet. But anyways, not too much views this morning. I wanted to get that out there, get that off my chest. The bottom line for me. Here's some of the industries in St. Catharines. They're all in. We were just driving down here the other day because, and it's got all the it's got all the industry names. It's got every freaking spur and all the industry names. Everything. Trinergy. Little diamond there. The warehousing, Chimera Chemicals, yep. Everything. This is all part of the old NS&T too. In fact, they call it the NS&T Spur, Petroleum Railway. So, this is the short line. And it's got names and tags onto it too, so you can follow that along, and then it joins up with the double track section of the Grimsby sub. This is the Welland Ship Canal at Seaway. Grimsby subdivision, and then the Thorold Spur. So you just keep on following it. Thorold Spur goes across the tunnel of Highway 58, just keeps on going down there. Eventually you get across the canal on one side, and then you got Port Robinson over here on the other. So you got, this is all abandoned, but yeah, so you got all the abandoned lines. This used to be, oh crap, I can't believe I can't remember the name. They do the auto frames. Yeah, it's been so long, my brain can't remember all of that. This used to be Ontario Paper. This is abandoned. That's the Thorold Power Plant, but this here was the paper plant, and it doesn't have a name on it anymore. And I don't think they're going to be associated, but you never know. Maybe they have ideas for that too. But I mean, the track's still in. There used to be a bridge here. This, you can see where this used to be the old Bridge 10, and then it would cross over here. So I'm well familiar with this area, and other people are familiar with what trains run in their areas, how certain locals operate, and they can add to the data of their own areas and contribute to the project. So by building up that data, then I start scrolling out, and I scroll further and further. Eventually, you know, we start getting lines here. Once you have the game engine built in for RTS, and then you're basically handling all the AI. It's just a matter of data. Now you know how to get the data. You have a methodology of getting the data, displaying the data, running the trains. Then suddenly it just becomes a matter of resources on your computer. Eventually it may come into associated servers that handle various locations, various railroads perhaps. Like for here, I might just go into Buffalo and then just leave it and kind of connect to, like I'm going to work on Canada first, like Canadian National and stuff like that. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the US that would like to take advantage of that because their networks are extensive. I would have, you know, Canadian National has connections at Sarnia, Canadian Pacific has connections at Detroit, and yeah, it gets really good. I don't know if I can get the rail network. There we go. See, so just like that, I just scrolled in enough, and then I can see the rail networks, right? Just like that, and then you know, eventually. You're getting all of North America. And there's no reason why this can't happen in Europe. The same thing can happen in Europe. The networks are here. You look in the United Kingdom, and if I was to focus on London, well, I've seen this. They got massive. Look at this. They got every single diamond and track and, I mean, flyover. Look at that. Would that be cool? I think it would be cool. That's what a railroad transportation simulator is all about to me. Connect the world. So yeah, obviously, you know, you can't connect Europe with North America unless you build a nice tunnel, but I'm more than happy having like once I establish something that's good, I'm more than happy bringing on people in Europe so that there's European networks and they can add to it. So you'd have European networks, European servers, you name it. Because they would still use the RTS space software and they can just run and do whatever the hell they want. Build whatever network they want. Not my network, I'm not worried about it. You know? And then I don't know if it's connected. I don't know if the railway actually connects into South America. I don't think it does. Nah, not that I'm aware of. And who knows if it's... I mean, once you get into certain areas, you may or may not have enough data. And of course, because of that, you know, San Jose, California. Whoops, wrong one. Where do I want to go? No, it's not San Jose, California, you idiot. So, where's the rail network around here? Does it go into Mexicali? Yes, it does. Oh yeah, that's like a little tunnel underneath. That's cool. Holy crap, Mexicali is huge. Got the big wall. No, just kidding. But yeah. Well, that's neat. That's kind of cool. I like that. I imagine that's gaining elevation. Now, it doesn't have elevation data. It does not have elevation data, but, I mean, you can literally... I mean, I can see it if I can get this going. I can see people wanting to join in. Maybe they won't. And if they don't, I don't care. I'll just do my own damn network and say screw the rest of the world. So, I mean, you know, it doesn't matter to me. Obviously, I don't have too many people watching at this point at the time because most people are sleeping. And like I said, I was sitting here till 2:30, and then it was 7 o'clock this morning, and I woke up to go to the washroom, and then I came back, and I'm just like, okay, now I'm like, but I need to calm down for now because I need to get back in that mode where it's a wait and see and build. We'll see what kind of interest there is for this. I'm very curious. If you're joining and you just have seen this, I suggest you wait till it hits YouTube or go back and watch the whole thing. And, you know, that's what it's all going to be about. It's going to come down to that's the way I see developing. Now, like I said, if Run 8 comes out with something that's good enough to distract me and take me away, well, it's easier to play than it is to create. And if it's compelling enough to keep me playing, then it's going to keep distracting me. Whatever is compelling enough to distract you, you're not gonna worry about, you know, what could be or what else could be and all that other crap. You're not going to worry about that shit. You're just going to go ahead and get distracted and have fun with the rest of your life. But I think this is a cool... I think this in itself could be a very rewarding distraction, especially if I can manifest the ideas I have that would allow someone who may not have as much time on their hands, who want to run single player. And I don't get me wrong, I would open it for multiplayer at some point as well. I would figure out how I need to do that and the best way of going about doing that. I think I already have a general idea of how I would do that, but first things first, I got to get it working single player. Now, actually, single player, I got to get it working automated. This thing has got to be able to run automated, period. It can't be sitting at a signal crying for help. It needs to basically be efficient enough. Doesn't have to be efficient enough to be fast. Efficiency, it has to be efficient enough not to have to come to a cornfield meet. It cannot have a cornfield meet. My goal is not to have cornfield meets. And sure, players can get you out of them and all that, but that's not how I want it. I don't want it to have cornfield, and that's no knock at Run 8. What Run 8's got is great. I haven't even tried my concepts yet. I've had some that have worked well. Those are concepts that I want to take into Freight Yard Manager. I want that AI. I don't like AI just for the sake of saying, oh yeah, let's, you know, I'm totally against AI in the real world. I mean, you know, it is what it is, but when you're there and you're by yourself, or you have only limited time to put into something. Hey, maybe you want to run a freight yard, or maybe you want to run a hump yard in Toronto, like I used to do. Well, guess what? When I got busy, I couldn't handle a hump yard on Freight Yard Manager in Toronto because there was too much traffic. I had to be part of that network. I couldn't share it. I couldn't do anything. Eventually, I was done. And I know people share some things and they do this and that. It's a lot different than and Freight Yard Manager isn't really built on sharing duties with the same yard and all this other crap. No, it's maybe you don't want to run the hump that day. Maybe you just want to run a train. Maybe you want to switch of trains. Maybe you want to be a yard master. Who knows? Maybe you want to be a dispatcher. That's possible too. Because I can see this all going into a dispatching side of things as well. The data's there. All it's a matter of is just taking that data and then, creating dispatch boards, creating automation from it. It sounds simple, but it's a lot easier than building a 3D simulator, I can tell you that. Because then you don't have to worry about the assets. You don't have to worry about plotting the maps and all that. It's all there. That data that it has been a resource that's been there for years. I'm surprised nobody has tried that. Maybe there's a reason why. I don't know, but I don't know of anybody who's even considered trying it. Why not? I'd go for it. If it was there right now, and if I knew, put it this way, if I knew there was a project that existed right now, I may just go all in on that, and just say, hey, I got ideas. Are you interested? Well, no, we're not interested. Okay, goodbye. So that's what I did with Freight Yard Manager. I mean, I played it for a while, and I had fun when I had all the time in the world, but then when I came up with my ideas, it was just like, okay, now what am I going to do? I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Forget it. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm just gabbing, so I wanted to get that out there. Why my sleep pattern was totally disrupted, and that could be the future of RTS2. Who knows? Haven't had an RTS2. We've talked about an RTS2 for a long time. We talked about it in Run 8. It never happened. It was never required. Well, this is where I see it. I want it. If I'm going to program something, I want it meaningful, and I want it something that I know I can handle. And I'm pretty confident that this is up my alley, but we'll see. The only way I'm going to know is if I try, and I could be getting closer to that if I am less distracted. But I have to become less distracted. Baseball season doesn't start to spring, and I really don't want to get involved in baseball season until 162 games sucks. To watch your team just get destroyed in 2 games. Well, they didn't get destroyed, but anyways, you know what I mean. Bad enough. Anyways, that's it for now. Talk to you later. See ya.